Your Mic Life for Wednesday, November the 20th, year 2019. Show number 1235. I'm your host, Shawn King, joined as always by my beautiful co-host,
Melissa King.
just so happened to be
Hello,
married
everyone.
to me. It's a coincidence. It worked out well for me. On tonight's show, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. We're going to talk about AirPods Pro. I hate the name. Jim has Jim has had his for a few weeks now. We'll talk to him about that. Also up at the iPhone 11 Pro Max in our Turning Point Photography segment. Got some. I got one. I got an iPhone Pro 11 Max. Again, hate the name.
Why do they add pro to everything? What is this pro business?
We'll talk about that. I don't think we'll talk to him about the AirPods Pro, or they should be called Pro. The iPhone Pro, yes, I can see why they say Pro, and we'll talk about that a little later on the show. Also about how Apple is losing money on every repair they do. I call bullshit. I don't think for a second Apple's losing money on every repair they do. And we have a question from Melissa, and the question is...
I have two questions.
Oh, you have two?
These are, I feel sometimes very sort of like, oh, these people must think I'm so stupid. Do I ask my question now?
Tease them with it, yes.
Oh, charging and apps.
Charging what?
Misunderstanding. My phone.
Oh, okay, yes. Those are good teases, actually. We'll talk about that later on in the show. Monty brought up a thing we did a few years ago, and I want to do again this year. We have asked for you guys for Christmas greetings. Christmas is in a little over a month. 4 shows from now. Actually, the Christmas day is a show day, so obviously we won't be doing a show on the 25th. So what we want is for you guys to send us Christmas greetings. Send them on your iPhone. Send them video them. Record them on your iPhone, on your Mac, whatever you'd like with the internal microphone, whatever you want to do. Just those little short videos telling us who you are, wishing us and the Your Mic Life audience a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Festivus, Kwanzaa, whatever the hell it is that you want to do. And then this year, we're going to have Melissa edit them. I'm going to teach her how to edit them.
Some of them. Depends how many arrive.
No, you do them all.
No.
The idea is to show Melissa, and then she can realize and tell other people that editing is actually difficult, but also very easy. And I think once Melissa gets it, and you see the video she's done, you'll be very impressed, and you'll maybe want to do some editing of your own. So we'll do that. So send the videos, either a link, Dropbox or Google or whatever it is. Send a link to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. Make sure your video includes your name and where you're at, where you live, because I'm always curious where people send these things from. And it can be anything. Like I said, it doesn't have to be Christmas. We celebrate Christmas, but if you don't, that's fine. My sister, I thought this was wonderful for her. I found this out about 10 years ago. My sister, who is a Christian, Pentecostal, lovely woman, celebrates Hanukkah because she wants her daughter to understand the Jewish faith.
Oh, yeah.
So they have the same sort of things as Hanukkah.
Yeah, I like the tradition of Hanukkah.
I like a lot of. I like tradition in general. I'm always interested in how various cultures do things in not a traditional way, but those common events that we have, how they're celebrated in different ways.
Creates cohesion.
Yeah, I think understanding creates cohesion. Yes, I agree. And so, I think it's wonderful that they do that. So, I know we've got a lot of Jewish listeners. If you have Hanukkah greetings you want to send us, please do. We'll find a menorah graphic and put it up there. Get them in before, let's say, the 16th of December, because that'll give us a couple of days in order to edit them and then play them on the December 18th show, which will be the Actually, the 18th show will be the last show of the year.
Well, I'm working way up, and I'm working way up till the 20th.
But because we don't do a show between Christmas and New Year's, and New Year's is also on a Wednesday, So
It is?
Yeah.
That's right.
So that
January
means that,
the 1st.
that the 18th, we won't have another show until January 8th.
Oh.
So there'll be this usual 2 weeks, but yeah, so keep that in mind. So try to get them in by the 16th. The earlier the better, please. And they can be any format you want. They can be horizontal, portrait,
Silly.
silly, serious, whatever it is you want. We'd love for you guys to do that for us. And there won't be a show on next Wednesday. Melissa has a conference in the big city that goes late on Wednesday evening because of the ferries. That's the video that I was showing earlier for you folks who are just tuning in. This video that I'm showing now was shot with the iPhone 11 Pro Max while I was on the ferry. But that's the view we get when Melissa and I go over to the big city. That's what it looks like. Seriously, that's the beauty that you see right there. When it's a nice day, I could just stay in the boat and go back and forth.
It's beautiful.
It's spectacularly
Stunningly beautiful.
But that's how we have to get to the city. We actually literally have to get on a boat and big old car ferry.
Nice when you get a window seat.
That's right. Yeah. So that's what we are going to be doing next week. Monty says such a pretty part of the world. It really is beautiful, spectacularly beautiful.
Really.
Bit of a pain in the butt because of these kinds of issues. That in order to get someplace, you've got to go down to a ferry terminal, wait for an hour, get on a ferry, get off the ferry, that kind of stuff. Far cry from the Staten Island ferry, just a little bit. Although the Staten Island ferry is pretty in its own right, I wouldn't do it on a regular basis. This ferry is when the sun is shining, when it's nice, it's spectacularly beautiful. There's something else we wanted to talk about on tonight's show. On the top of the show, what was it? Shoot!
Oops.
I wish I would write these things down. Hang on. I almost got it. Apple has their holiday gift guide, the 2019 Apple holiday gift guide, and I'm going to, if you're going to buy stuff from Apple, I'm going to cover up my wife's beautiful face just for a moment here. If you're going to buy stuff from Apple, come to Your Mac Life first and click on the graphic, because the graphic will then take you to Apple's holiday gift guide, but it will, if you buy something, we'll get a little bit of a kickback from Apple for that. And this is one of those examples where I should actually keep my mouth shut.
Why don't you do it? Come on, Shawn. Come on.
I actually should shut up right now and not say what I'm going to say. But I have to say it.
Why?
Because I have a moral, ethical obligation to say this to the audience.
All right.
Everything you see on Apple's holiday gift list, it's all the usual stuff. It's, iPhones and Apple Watches and Apple Watch bands and AirPods and all that kind of cool stuff. Everything you see on this page is going to be cheaper somewhere else. You're going to be able to get a discount from Amazon or Best Buy or anywhere else. You'll get a discount on all this stuff. So if you're throwing money away anyway, come to the YourMacLifeShow.com link. Click on our link, because then that takes you to the Apple gift guide, and then you can pay full price for things.
Think about the people that work at Amazon, folks.
What does that mean?
How hard they work, and that maybe we shouldn't, maybe we should buy somewhere else instead of Amazon.
But the problem is, you and I have said, and the same for shopping for Amazon still, hit YML first, then do your shopping. Yes, Monty, please do that. I appreciate you guys. And with Amazon, you don't have to buy the thing that's linked on the Amazon section of the website on the left-hand side. Just by going to Amazon through one of those links, we'll also get a little kickback if you buy something. Yeah, it's hard, though, because, perfect example, got the new iPhone 11 Pro Max. Need a case. So we want to shop local. London Drugs. There's a local kind of a drugstore, makeup store, small foods. It's like a little bit of everything in our small community. We go to London Drugs, and they've got clear iPhone cases from a company called Spigen, Spigen. They're $35. Amazon has the exact same case for $12.
Yeah.
It's hard to justify, and that's free shipping too. It's hard to justify spending $35, $45 at your local store when you can buy it on Amazon and save $30.
Yeah. It's very true.
If you're stinking rich, maybe you just will go to the London Drugs. We ain't. The idea of spending $30 when you don't have to is, as Monty says, it's a tough sell. It really, really is. And I completely understand the reasoning why London Drugs charges so much. They're remote. We're here on the coast. They can't buy a million cases like Amazon can. They have staff to pay for. They have the building and advertising, all that kind of stuff. I get it. And as much as I'd love to support Amazon, I can't throw away $30 on a case.
You want to support London Drugs.
Sorry, London Drugs. Much as I want to support our local people, you can't do it when you are not filthy rich.
Yeah.
And it makes me angry and sad that we're forced to do this kind of thing. If London Drugs was charging $19.95 for that case,
I would
I would have bought it.
Yeah.
I absolutely would have bought it.
Yeah.
But $45 for the exact same case? Can't do it. Cannot do it.
No.
At least I don't do what's called showrooming, which is go into a store like that and look it up on Amazon and go, well, no, I'm going to go buy it at Amazon. I'll pick it up and play with it and see how it feels, and then go home and buy it at Amazon. I would never ever do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard for a family. Someone. I'm not going to say his name because it'll get me in trouble. But someone said that the AirPod Pros are the best wireless headphones you can buy with money no object or no matter what the price. Everyone should buy AirPod Pros because Apple has sucked the air out of the room when it comes to wireless earbuds. That there's nothing else out there that's comparable, that's as good, and if you buy anything else, you're wasting your money. Buy the AirPods Pro. Okay, that's your opinion. That's a valid opinion. Except, not everyone can drop $350 on a set of AirPods.
No way.
And everyone in our family wants a set because they're cool and they sound great. That would be $1,500 in things to stick in our ears. We can barely afford Q-tips, for Christ's sake, to stick in our ears.
That's not true. Yes, we can.
Bought a bunch yesterday. But it frustrates me that so many of these pundits don't seem to, okay, maybe you've got $350 of disposable income that you can just buy a pair of AirPods when they first came out, and then a pair of AirPods 2 when they first came out, and then this year you're going to buy AirPods Pro. Good for you that you've got that kind of money. But the vast majority of people out there do not have that kind of disposable income.
No.
Where we can just say, you know what, money's no object. So what we end up doing is looking for the $79 ones that aren't as good, but are good enough, that don't have the noise canceling, but that's okay, that may not be as high a quality, but that's what we can afford. And it seems like the tech media just doesn't get this through their head. They think, well, I can afford it, so everyone should be able to afford it.
Yeah, it's a bit arrogant.
It's very annoying and frustrating. MacMan says, I work in retail and still buy a ton for Amazon as much as I really dislike them. I hate them. Specifically Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is the worst human being on the planet. Melissa and I have been talking about this for days. Jeff Bezos literally could take out of his own personal wealth enough money to pay every Amazon warehouse employee. This is a fact. Every warehouse employee $100,000 a year, and it would not materially affect Bezos' wealth. He would still be a 10 times over multi-billionaire. Why doesn't he do that?
It's very sad.
He knows he could make the lives of every one of his employees literally 10 times better, and yet he won't do that. I don't understand how you could be a human being and not want to do that.
Well, he doesn't care.
How could you not care? I just don't get that.
That's what I believe. He just doesn't care.
It means you're a psychopath. If you know you have the ability, I think last thing I saw, Amazon has 425,000 employees. The vast majority of them are in warehouses. So let's just say it's 300,000 that are in warehouses. If you know you can make the lives of 300,000 people
and their children, and their families,
and their communities,
they'll be spending more money.
If each person in the family is now making $100,000 a year, they're spending that. Unlike Jeff, they ain't putting it in a bank account. They're buying a house, they're buying a car, they're buying a refrigerator. So it makes the whole community better, and yet you don't do it.
So Mo says it's because his board of directors would remove him from the company.
No, I'm saying...
And Wall Street would... Oh, you mean him personally?
His personal wealth.
Just
I'm not
personal.
saying Amazon
So not
profit.
going... Okay, so saying I'm going to do this separately.
Out of my own bank account.
Would they disapprove of that?
They couldn't. There's no way they could. That would be stupid. It's my money. I can do whatever I want with it, right?
Well, Monty says then the board needs to be removed. Well, they must. I guess they don't even put it on their agenda.
I know. It's frustrating. It just makes me batshit crazy that we have to live in a world where people can do that kind of stuff. Anyway, later on we're going to talk about taking photos with the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Melissa has a question. And up next, we'll talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Stay tuned for all that and more coming up. This is Your Mac Life. Back, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining me here this Wednesday evening. As always, we've got our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com in our phone. Jim, how you doing?
Well, besides you interrupting me again on a Wednesday night, I'm doing okay.
That's right. It's so weird. Every frickin' Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
This frickin' guy.
And I keep answering.
So
and I can't figure out why.
Well, I think it's because you haven't figured out call blocking on your iPhone.
I have not figured that out yet.
I know you've got a MacBook Pro, 16-inch MacBook Pro for review, and I definitely want to talk a little bit about that. But first of all, I want to talk about something we didn't get a chance to when it happened because so much other news happened before that. AirPods Pro, your hands-on. First of all, you are an audio guy, so this is one of those things where I really respect your opinion on this. You've had AirPods, you've had AirPods 2, you've had AirPods Pro. Is that a legitimate line to go to? Are the AirPods Pro that much better than the AirPods 2 that are that much better than the AirPods?
Yes.
Is there a particular reason you can put your finger on as to why the AirPods Pro, and I hate that frickin' name,
but it's the technology that's in there.
Yeah.
I mean, the keep in mind there's a $50 price difference
Yes.
between the AirPods with a wireless case and the AirPods Pro.
Yes.
So, for instance, there's things like an adaptive EQ in AirPods Pro
Okay.
that measures the sound that's going into your ears and what's bouncing back and what's being absorbed, so that it knows how to set the EQ for your particular ears.
Okay, hang on a second. Now, a lot of us might be familiar with EQ, equalizer. That was that thing that many of us bought in college with the bouncy lights. I love the bouncy lights. And it explain what an equalizer does first.
So an equalizer allows the a producer, when they're doing an album, to for instance, on a hi-hat, you don't need any low end frequencies, any bass frequencies on a hi-hat. So
Okay.
you can cut everything out of there and just hit the high end, because it's a cymbal basically. So, you just want that. On the reverse, on a kick drum, you want all low end, you know, but you don't need a big thud. You need something. So an EQ allows the producer or the engineer, the software or the music engineer, to go through and kind of allow everything in the music to fit.
Yeah.
Now, it's different when you're listening to music, because each song is different, because each engineer is different. So to have an adaptive EQ, that allows you to make the music the best it can be for your particular ears.
Okay.
I mean, that in itself is a pro feature, let alone the noise cancellation and the ability to turn on transparency and all of that. The adaptive EQ to me is a great feature.
So that's in the Pro version. The
Right.
AirPods 2 did not have this. Can you notice the difference in the Pro versus the 2 with this EQ? If you were playing the same music, could you hear the difference?
That's a damn good question,
Well,
because
one does one's best, but a little one has.
well, and you do have a little. I mean, I mean, if we're being honest.
Careful now. Careful.
Don't flash those pictures. Nobody
That's
wants
right,
to see that.
exactly.
That's a very hard question to answer, because there's so many things going on at the same time.
Yeah.
Noise cancellation. We have adaptive EQ going on. We have, a different fit in the headphones that are going on there. So you can, I believe that you can convince yourself that one headphone is better than the other.
Yeah.
Just based on what you want to believe.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
if you go to a show like NAMM and these people talk to you and say, listen to this and listen to the bass, see how strong the bass is, then you're going to hear a
That's
lot
right,
of bass,
exactly.
and you're going to say, yeah,
That's right.
And that's just human nature,
Yep.
I think. So, but is there an actual difference in the headphones? I believe that there is.
Good.
I really do. Now, the adaptive EQ, that may be something that some people like and some people don't. Maybe the music doesn't come off as what they want, but I think for the majority of people, yeah, it's a big feature.
Sorry, go ahead.
Adding all of those things together, is it worth $50 extra? Damn right.
One of the things that I've never worn any of Apple's in-ear things for very long, because I find that hard plastic. Apparently, I have delicate little dough ears. That
Yeah, you're just a delicate person. You are.
Just a delicate flower. I've always found that literally after 20, 30 minutes, I got to pull them out of my ears. I've never, ever liked them. Now, I will also admit that perhaps my ears are different shaped internally than other people. But
Well, there's a surprise.
I've got a different shaped head. That's right.
Good God.
But so I don't say that Apple. I've never said that the earpods or AirPods aren't good for everyone. They just have never been good for me personally. That being said, Apple designs these for obviously the vast majority of people, and the vast majority of people have had no problems with the fit of these things. Do you notice them fitting any differently because of the supposed custom fit? And by the way, that pisses me off that Apple calls these custom fit. They're not. They're just 3 earpieces.
Well, okay. So I definitely agree with you there, because I have a set of the best custom fit headphone.
That's right.
And they're and these people they came up with the term ear monitors, which people may know for as you know, the ones that are molded to your ear, go into your ear, and they provide a fit like no other. You don't even know they're in your ear.
Gloves are loose compared to these things.
You hear things in music that you never knew were there.
Yep.
And so those were $1,200. I mean, those are expensive in-ear monitors.
Yep.
Does Apple's compare to that? No, absolutely not.
Yep.
There never be a scenario in the world where Apple's headphones would compare to Future Sonics.
Yep.
Never. But does Future Sonics compare to Apple in convenience? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know, so when I come out here, you know, after spending hours making my stew today, do I put in my AirPods Pro? Yeah. That's what I put in. And for the half an hour before you called, was I listening to music with my AirPods Pro? Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. But I want to sit down and seriously listen. I'm going to Future Sonics.
Interesting.
Because those are the shit. I mean, you talk about, and I hear people talking all the time about ultimate ears and, you know, things like that.
Yep.
They basically tried to copy what Future Sonics has done, and they cannot get there.
Now, the next thing up, so remind me, are the tips that Apple includes in these things, are they soft foam ones or are they hard ones?
They're silicone and they're soft.
Okay.
So when you first open up your AirPods Pro, they will ask you to put them in, and you take a test, and the test uses the internal facing microphone.
Yeah, that was a kind of a cool thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, to see what kind of a seal the tips provide for you personally in your ears. So for me, the small and medium provided a good fit, a good seal. And the seal is basically for noise cancellation, so that when you turn on noise cancellation, it is able to provide you with what they believe to be the best quality noise cancellation that you can get. So I put 2 different sets in, and they both provided a good seal, which I have generally good ears, unlike you. You have freaky ears.
That's right.
I mean, some people, and to be clear, this is not uncommon. Some people may use a small in one ear and a medium in the other. It's just the way their ears are made, and that is what has been a problem over the years for a lot of people trying to wear in-ear headphones. is that one ear is different than the other,
Yep.
and nothing is able to measure that. Now, I've tried, I did try years ago the Beats in ear with the little silicone tips,
Yeah.
and those suckers hurt my ears. They hurt.
Yeah.
They were awful. And Beats should be taken out of business for the headphones that they make. They suck so bad.
They're torture devices.
They are torture devices. So, um, you notice a real difference when you're using like a Beats or the Apple ones. You do notice the difference. I mean, Apple vents their headphones,
Yeah.
so you don't get the pressure buildup inside of your ear. I mean, the 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 goal is to isolate the sound. But if you isolate the sound in headphones with a silicone tip for too long, you have pressure buildup in your ears, and that hurts.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, like being on a plane,
Yeah.
and it hurts. So you don't want that, and that's what these headphones provided as well. This pressure release.
I think it was many years ago, Bose that initially came out with at least consumer level noise canceling headphones, and I had a
Hmm.
set of them many years ago. And the first time I used them on a plane, it was really cool because apparently, according to audio folks, one of the things that makes us uncomfortable on planes is that low drone noise behind the scenes of the engines. You can't do anything about that. It's a very low bass sound. Putting on the Bose headphones was a revelation to me when it came to noise canceling because I didn't hear that noise, but I could still talk to the stewardesses. I'd actually had an argument. This is back in the day when they said, you have to take those things off in order to be able to hear the announcements. Ma'am, I can hear you just fine. Obviously, I can hear you just fine. Noise canceling has come a long way since then. Are these good noise canceling headphones? Are these ones that you'd wear on a 9-hour flight, or are these just good for, I don't know, walking around town or walking around your house?
Okay, so let's be clear here. Noise cancellation happens in Bose or whatever's going on because the headphones are. If you had I think of it as the audio wave. Think of it as like a heartbeat
Yes.
thing that you see with a little peak going up and going up and going down and going up and going down. So that is the um, the sound. Think of that heartbeat as the sound. Noise cancellation happens because the headphones are able to process that beat and make an exact opposite of that beat.
Yeah.
So when you put on your Bose headphones and you turn on noise cancellation, it is taking the noise that's there, making an exact replica of that, except upside down. That's how noise cancellation works. So the thing that happened with Bose headphones, and I'm not quite sure why it happened, is that you would hear a swoosh sound
Yes.
in your ears all the time. So when there was no music playing, you would hear the swooshing sound in your head. And it was kind of disconcerting to hear the sound all the time. And the reason was noise cancellation wasn't what it is now. I don't know if the Beats headphones still do that, but they did with the swooshing sound in your head, but it was canceling out the noise. So Apple's right now do not have that. There is no sound. And it's funny that people have asked me how they know the noise cancellation is working. The best test is not to actually listen to anything.
Yes.
put the headphones in, put one in so that they activate on your phone, put the other one in and listen to the noise around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
If the noise around you goes away, then it's working.
Yeah.
That's how the best way to know. I mean, I've had people contact me and say, well, I crank my music up and I can't hear any noise around me. Well, no wonder. You can do that with regular AirPods.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just,
That's how you
crank
cancel the
music
noise. Turn everything up to 11. No other noise.
That doesn't show you noise cancellation.
Yeah, that's right.
That shows you that your ears can handle, really loud music.
Yeah.
That's about it. But if you have your headphones on with no music playing, no podcast, no nothing, just blank,
Yep.
and you turn noise cancellation on and off, you should be able to hear almost like a suction in your ears when noise cancellation comes on. But the difference is that there's no swoosh sound and there's no pressure. And that's the big thing that AirPods Pro brings to the game, in my opinion, because the pressure hurts, the swoosh sound is annoying, and when you don't have any of those two things and you're just kind of like silent,
yeah,
that's a different thing. Then you can listen to your music at a lower volume than what you could have before,
which is very important because that's what does the damage.
Very important. Yeah.
The next thing everyone talked about was this thing that sort of goes hand in hand with the idea of noise cancellation, is this transparency mode. I don't think I've really gotten a good grasp of what transparency mode is. Please explain, enlighten me. What was that?
Okay,
blow me a kiss?
I was taking a drink of my beer and it made a kissy sound when it popped out of my mouth because you surprised me with a question so quick. Don't be a dick, man.
That's going up on SoundCloud. Don't be a dick, man.
So there's this space between noise cancellation and having the headphones completely out of your ears.
Yeah.
So having the headphones completely out of your ears means that you can hear everything that you would normally hear. Having noise cancellation on blocks out all of that ambient sound. And there's this place in between where you could hear things like airport announcements. Now, if you have your audio up to 11 and you're listening to Aussie, you're not going to hear anything anyway, so it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not going to crack that.
Yeah.
But let's say you're at an airport gate, which I often do, and you're listening to a podcast. With transparency on, you'll be able to hear the announcement coming so that you can either pull a headphone out or stop or whatever, so that you can hear the announcement. It's not like you're the idiot that's sitting there and they're calling,
that's right.
Mr. King, please come, and you're sitting there listening to your music,
right.
and you're, so that's where transparency is. So basically, if you hold the stem of the AirPods Pro, it will turn on transparency mode so that you're able to hear what's going on around you, but still hear the music. So it's almost like an original AirPod headphone, but better, because you're still hearing quality sound, but you're able to hear what's going on around you too. That could also be important when you're jogging or walking and you're going across a crosswalk and somebody's blowing their horn at you. But again, this stuff only works if you have the music up to 11, then you're going to get hit by that car regardless. So just
now, Dave Mark on the Loop posted an interesting story from Neil Seibart above Avalon. AirPods Pro removing all available oxygen from the wireless headphone market. Do you agree with Neil on that line?
Yeah, I kind of do.
See, I kind of don't, if only because the price point of the AirPods Pro, for example, here in Canada, they're $329. You can get, and I'll let's just set in stone that the AirPods Pro sound better than any other comparable device, give you better noise cancellation, better audio, blah, blah, blah. $329 is a lot of money. When
Yes,
you
it
can
is.
get comparable, I'm not saying as good, I'm saying comparable Chinese knockoffs for $79.
No. There is no way there is a Chinese knockoff that is as good as these. Absolutely not.
A company is sending me a set. They asked me if I wanted to review them. They're sending me a set sometime this week.
Well,
I'm not saying that for a fact they are. I'm saying they're claiming they are.
well, they're wrong.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you on that, not having listened to either one of them. But we live in a time where good enough is often good enough. So when Neil says that AirPods are removing all available oxygen from the wireless headphone market, I disagree with him, if only because that price point is so high, and the other products are good enough for the vast majority of consumers.
No, I still think that they are, because of who they are and what they're offering, I think they are sucking everything out of it. I really do.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, these knockoffs can try and do what they want to do, but I just don't think it's going to help.
Jim's review is up on the loopinsight.com. It's when did you post this? You posted this last Friday or a week ago, a couple of Fridays ago. AirPods Pro hands-on. Does the name bug you? AirPods Pro?
No, well, no. I mean,
and these are not pro devices, are they? Pros aren't going to use these in studios or in concerts, right? I don't like the pro nickname. No, AirPods 3 was fine.
No, but they are pros compared to the other AirPods. So,
yeah, but they're also 3 compared to 2. Come on.
Well, sure, either argument can work there.
Yeah, I think I think it debases the pro name and paints them into a corner that they can't get out of, because the next one has to be AirPods Pro. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? They can't go AirPods 3 for the next one, because then people are going to say, anyway.
Well, they could. Yeah, I mean, it all depends. Yeah, they could.
I saw you posted up on Twitter that you've got in your hot little hands the new MacBook Pro 16-inch. I know you haven't had a chance to run it through its paces, but right off the bat, do you notice the size? I believe you were using a 13-inch before, weren't you?
No, 15.
15, okay. So the size, probably didn't notice that much of it, do you?
Not that much.
Physically, I mean, or weight-wise?
The screen resolution, you can sort of tell that you have some more real estate there. It wouldn't be like going from a 13-inch to the big one.
Real quick, do you notice any power differences? I know you're an audio guy and you can push a lot of audio through a machine. Do you notice any difference in the ability of the machine in your initial testing?
No.
Do you think you will?
No. I can't imagine.
Really? See, I would have assumed that you would.
I really can't. I mean, somebody asked me today if I would use my regular setup or if I would use the internal mic and speaker. Yeah. And I responded and said, the only way I would use the internal mic and speaker is in a dire situation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would always use my Pro setup for mic and speakers.
Yeah.
So, but I can't see a situation where I would actually run out of processing power.
Interesting. Okay. Any idea when your review will be up and available for us to read?
Sometime in the next week.
Next week? Okay, cool. The Apple did I don't even know how to begin to describe this kind of thing. Donald Trump, President Trump, was at Apple's Mac Pro facility today. Andy Ihnatko made an interesting comment about this, that if Apple gets if Trump said something, I haven't seen much reports about what he said when he was there. If Trump said something remarkably stupid, then this might get blowback on Apple. Do you think these kinds of things are bad for Apple, them getting involved in this kind of political story, that the idea of having a for lack of a better term, controversial person come to visit Apple seems kind of incongruous with Apple's stated moral values?
Well, look, I think this is a situation that you can answer with one simple question. How much do you want to pay for your Apple products?
What do you mean by that?
Well, Tim is doing this to limit the tariffs that Apple has to pay.
Yes.
And, you know, whatever you think politically about Tim meeting with Trump, I think what you have to understand is that Tim is playing the long game here.
True.
And he is trying to make sure that current and future Apple products are not exposed to unfair tariffs.
Do you think that, by the way, the quote from Andy Nako was, okay, but if Apple's going to let Trump use their Austin Mac Pro plant for a PR hit, then they share responsibility for any lies he tells the public, which they don't subsequently correct. Good luck, Tim, Andy said. So do you think that Tim Cook is kind of holding his nose and doing this, perhaps using using Trump as a useful idiot for his own purposes?
Yes.
I think he'd have to be, wouldn't he?
Yeah. To me, there's no doubt that that's what's happening here. You know, obviously the politics in America right now is that they want to be seen as creating jobs, creating industry, all of these different things. And if Trump can show that, then he will be a bit beholden to the people that allowed that to happen.
Yeah.
And, you know, in response to that, Tim is thinking, hopefully, that Apple products will not be subject to the tariffs that are coming for parts and things like that from China. They'll be exempt from those.
It's a dangerous game to play, though.
It is a dangerous game to play, but it always is. But if you don't play the game, if you don't do what Tim is doing, I mean, where are you then?
Yeah, kind of a rock and a hard place.
It really is, and I hate seeing any company in this type of position.
Yeah.
I really do, because it's an awful position to be in. But this is where Apple is right now. I mean, it's the position that they find themselves in, and they're, you know, almost $1 trillion business.
Yeah.
You can't just say whatever, you know.
Do you think
you can't do that?
I think it's if nothing else, it's a remarkable mental, emotional, ethical balancing act that Cook goes through when he does these things. Because we've got to believe that the other side of Tim that we know, the guy who is fighting for human rights for LGBTQ people, the guy who is at the forefront of his company, at the forefront of privacy and security and those kinds of things, that he has to be holding his nose and just doing this for what he perceives as the good of the company. I don't believe anyone else could have done this. Steve Jobs, I don't think, could have done this. I don't think for a second we would have seen Steve Jobs in the same position, because I don't think Steve Jobs could have done that, held his nose and played Mr. Nice Guy with someone who he would have rightfully perceived as being antithetical to his beliefs.
Well, I think that anybody that can say what Steve would have done is crazy.
True.
So
Yep.
um, I think that over the years we've all heard enough stories of Steve being very, very nice and sweet to people who he wanted something from at that time.
That's right.
You know, so could this be one of those cases?
Yep.
It could be. In my heart, I would like to think that no, Steve would not be in this position because he would just say "fuck you" to everybody.
That's right. Exactly.
And but you just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know. There's so many things about how tariffs would affect Apple that we don't know.
Yep.
And I have to think that it would truly affect Apple's products and sales in a big way for Tim to go down and do this.
Yes.
I really do. Because I mean, you were talking before about, Tim and, his stance on privacy and human rights and things like this. Does I think Tim throws up in a bucket before he has to go out and meet with Trump.
Yeah.
But does he have to do it? I think he does.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's unfortunate that he does. And again, this is not about Apple. This is about any company, and you shouldn't be in this position, but this is where they are. So he throws up in a bucket, and then he goes in and talks to him and does his thing.
Yeah. Apple made an interesting announcement this past week. Loved by millions, created by the best. It's an Apple special event that they're going to be. A new iPad or a new MacBook or whatever. They might mention the date of the Mac Pro finally going on sale. The rumor is December 3rd. But all this is going to be is a PR presentation of the Apple list of the best of iOS and Mac, we assume.
That's the best I can figure at this point. I have no other information that would lead me to any other conclusion than that.
That's just, it's the weirdest thing. I mean, I've been talking to some other folks who have been trying to figure this stuff out too, and everyone's befuddled by it. Everyone is just like, why are they bothering? What's the point of doing this? It just doesn't seem to make any sense.
I wish I could offer you some valuable insight into what's going on here, but I just don't know.
No. Yeah, it's literally one of those things where I saw the news report and I went and had to check the dates of it to make sure it wasn't from like 15 years ago or something like that. You know, one of those zombie posts that pop up.
I don't know. It doesn't. It makes no sense to me.
No.
What about? Well, go ahead.
One of the things I'm always a big fan of credit where credit is due and apologizing when I've screwed up, because I screw up a lot and I practice my apologies. I have got to apologize to Apple because before Apple TV was launched, I was saying that Apple's TV shows would be G-rated. PG rated at the most.
And they're not.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Oh my.
Wow.
There's language in there. There are scenes in there. There's nudity in there. There is all perfectly good human emotions are showing up in all of the Apple TV shows.
There is nothing sexy about consent, says Martin Short.
Yeah. I mean, that was a powerful little scene, too.
Wow, was it ever?
Because we were not expecting Martin Short to play that guy.
No, we were not.
Although I will say the beginning, and we're talking about episode 5 of the morning show. If you haven't seen it, turn the show off for 5 minutes. It really pissed me off, the opening where...
oh, no, this isn't episode 5. I haven't seen episode 5 yet. It must be 4.
No, you're talking about the Martin Short was...
Episode 4.
Okay, hang on. What did Mitch do in episode 4?
Who's Mitch?
He's the guy who the sexual predator. At the very beginning of the show, do you remember?
No.
All right, I won't say anything. We'll have to talk about something else. I don't want to ruin it for you because it really made me angry. But yeah, and by the way, I can't watch C anymore. I'm sorry, Apple, I can't watch C anymore. It just makes me...
Why?
Because it just annoys the shit out of me.
I haven't started watching it yet.
All the weird blind stuff, and I don't mean that blind people are weird.
Oh my God! You actually said that out loud. Holy shit!
I didn't mean it that way.
Where's Stephen Aguino when I need him? Oh my God!
No. Let me explain. The central premise of the show.
I don't think that there's any explanation
there is
needed here.
Let me finish, and then you can judge me. Okay? The central premise of the show is that there was a virus that happened centuries ago that killed.
I don't know this. I haven't watched it yet.
It's the synopsis. There's nothing. This is. I'm not telling you any secrets.
I don't watch the synopsis, so I told you that before.
You'll
and so you're just gonna have to live with your...
No, I can't, dude.
Your blind hating remarks. Oh my God!
You gotta let me finish. Okay,
that.
You've seen the trailer, right?
Well, like a 20-second trailer.
Okay,
I mean,
so you know the premise is that everyone's
no,
blind.
I think you should just live with what you said.
Don't make me live with it. Come on, let me fix it.
Okay.
Don't be a dick. Let me fix it. So the premise is that these people are all blind. That society's gone to hell.
You sound like Snoop Dogg.
that everyone is blind after centuries for whatever reason. But the thing that pisses me off the most is that they make the assumption that blind people couldn't continue with a society comparable to what it was centuries ago. That because they're blind, suddenly they can't use computers or drive cars or, do all those technological things. I think that's offensive to blind people. They're saying that if everyone was blind, they would just become cave people. You know what I mean?
Good save.
Well, I've been thinking about this for a while, and there's a whole bunch of other issues there that just sort of take me out of the show. And plus, Jason Momoa can't act with a gun to his head. He's awful.
Well, he never has, but come on.
Monty says, Jim, I can't wait to talk shit about Shawn and blind stuff on our podcast.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Monty and I, we're going to hang you out to dry on this one.
Exactly. Speaking of hanging you out to dry and full of shit, Apple tells Congress that it hasn't been profiting from repairs in response to an antitrust probe. Please tell me you yelled bullshit when you read that headline. Come on. There hasn't been a single tech media person that said bullshit on that. Aren't making money on it. You guys are charging us $200 to replace a screen when the guy down the street's charging me $75. Okay? And it's just as good a damn screen.
Is it?
It is.
You don't know that.
I do know that. Don't give me that crap.
No.
Just kind of ticks me off that Apple says stuff like that. We're not making any money on it. With the amount of money they charge, then you're doing it wrong.
Monty and I own you right now, so you better calm the fuck down. We own your ass right now.
The producers of the morning show are I think one of the most interesting things about Apple TV shows is the difference between what the professional critics are saying and what the audiences are saying. And but unfortunately, it seems to be getting under the skin of some of the people involved. The executive producer of the morning show during at a Recode conference, Mimi Leader and Carrie Aaron said, Many of the negative reviews came from writers who went into the show with the purpose of hating it due to Apple. She says
Yeah,
there are a lot
I
of
don't
Apple
disagree with
haters,
that.
a lot of Apple haters and wanting Apple to fail. Now, what a load of crap that is.
That's not a load of crap.
It
That's
is a load of
absolutely
crap
true.
because
It's
otherwise
absolutely true.
it is not true. Because otherwise the exact same people would saying the exact same bad things about For All Mankind and Dickinson and C and everything else. They're picking on your show because they're picking on your show. Now, I don't agree.
You know why they're picking on that show?
Because they happen not to like it. That's all.
No, that's not it at all. It's because, and if you ask Monty, I'm sure he'll say the same thing. It's because that's the one that Apple put out as their flagship show.
Fair point.
That's the reason, right there.
Fair point.
So these people came out and said, "Oh, this is a shitty show, and it's terrible." And I mean, it's a fair point.
But it's also not as bad as what she makes it seem. Rotten Tomatoes critics are sitting at 63% favorable, 95% favorable for the audience. That's not bad.
Yeah.
And I lean more towards the critics. It's not a bad show at all. There are some issues with the show, but overall, I think it's a perfectly good show. This is not a Emmy Award-winning show, but it's...
Now you're going to say Martin Short was your favorite character, right? I mean...
No, my favorite character is Jennifer Aniston.
Just come right out and say it. I don't like her. I don't like her in the show.
Really? Do
don't.
you like her in other shows and or as a person, whatever we know about Jennifer Aniston, and just don't like the character?
Yes, I don't like. I have a problem with people that act like that towards other people.
Yes.
So just because you're wealthy or because you're famous doesn't mean that you can treat people that way, and I just don't like that at all.
Well, then you must hate the Billy Crudup character.
Who's that?
He's the boss of the network.
I love him. I love him.
The smarmy guy that walks around.
Yeah, I love him.
I love him.
I love him.
His characterization of that is like, geez, I want to punch you in the mouth, but you're just so charming. Yep. I love him. Yeah, now,
he's great.
Somebody posted a very funny critique on Twitter of the Mac Media, saying that he really liked the show Dickinson, but was disappointed that people like Gruber and Arment and that the usual suspects hadn't offered up their opinion about Dickinson. And I wrote back like, "Are you shitting me? These guys should stay in their lane. They don't know shit about Dickinson. They don't know anything about young adults. They don't know anything. These are a bunch of middle-aged white guys, nerds, who I'm glad they haven't said anything about Dickinson because they don't know anything about Dickinson."
So I haven't watched Dickinson either, but I can't wait to watch that.
We watched the first episode last night, and it's certainly something that looks well put together. I doubt we'll go much further, if only because it's a storyline that I really have no interest in. I recognize that Emily Dickinson was a poet, a great poet by some. I don't know anything about poetry. The way they're portraying it.
There's a shocker.
Yeah, no shit. I mean, that's why Gruber hasn't reviewed it either. He didn't know shit about poetry either. But the way they're portraying it, I see it as being just kind of a cool, funky Gen X kind of thing. And it doesn't attract me to make me want to watch it even more. I'm not saying it's a bad show. I'm just saying it's a show that I personally wouldn't have much interest in.
Yeah. Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you about this, because I know you're going to want to get off the phone soon, but I'm not going to let you. What about The Banker?
That was interesting. What's going to happen with The Banker? For those folks who may have not heard this, just happened. The American Film Institute was going to premiere Apple's The Banker with Samuel L. Jackson, and I can't remember the other actor's name. Really interesting story. True story of members of the black community buying up white banks and then lending the money back to black folks, which is just hilarious. I just love that. But the trailer looked fantastic. Looked really interesting.
Fantastic.
But now it turns out that there may be some issues with the son of the main character in real life. Not anyone involved in the movie itself, not anyone portrayed in the movie, there may be some issues, and there's not really clear what those issues are. So the American Film Institute and Apple pulled the movie from the premiere tomorrow night, and its future now is unknown. I think this is going to be very interesting. I think what's going to happen is Apple's going to have to put out a PR campaign to soften the blow of whatever this person did and distance that person from the story of the movie. But it could theoretically kill the movie, depending on how sensitive Apple would be to the issues.
It could. It could kill the movie.
Do you think it would?
I think that would be very unfortunate
I agree.
it did. The story that is being told, I think, is amazing. You know, from the trailer that I saw, an amazing story, and for that not to be told seems a shame.
Yeah, it's going to be a real shame if something happens and Apple gets skittish. I don't think they will. I posted on the Loop that this might kill it. I don't think it will kill it. I'm really, really hoping that whatever it is not so serious that it will kill it, or it's an issue that Apple can easily push to the side. And I know that sounds kind of cavalier, but whatever it might be, and I don't want to give that impression, but hopefully it's something that is not something that will directly affect the movie.
They did say that it had nothing to do with any of the characters portrayed in the show.
Correct. Or any of the actors in the show, too, which is something that might kill it.
Right. So they're worried about something that happened outside of the scope of the show.
Yes.
And I think that they can still go ahead with that. I hope they do,
really
because
do.
it looked pretty amazing.
Yeah, it does. It's a great story I've never heard of, and I'm fairly well read when it comes to Black history. But this is a very local story, so that's probably why I had never heard of it. But yeah, I really hope it gets a showing. It sounds like it's a story that deserves to be shown and seen on Apple TV Plus. Apple, I think, was it last night, did their premiere of Servant, the M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong one, which I've seen another trailer for. I hope it's as creepy as it seems.
Oh, I didn't even watch the other trailer. I saw that it was out there, and I couldn't even watch it because I am outside right now, and I'm scared as shit.
Yeah, that's right.
That M. Night Shyamalan Ding Ding is going to be like around the corner with all his freaky ass characters.
And the thing is, knowing him from his previous movies, what they're showing in the trailer isn't even the creepiest part. It's going to get creepier.
I know. And I can't wait for that to come out.
I know, man.
But I will not watch another trailer or another anything.
That's right. It might be a thing we watch through hooded eyes. Lastly, let's do this one real quick. Apple removed all vaping-related products from the Apple Store, the App Store, over this past couple of days. We give them props for not being G-rated on the Apple TV, but I got to take some of those props back for this move. Vaping is legal.
Not.
Vaping is legal.
No.
Yes, it is.
Look. There is some crazy shit going on here.
Yep.
And the fact that people are dying.
Yep.
From doing this, and they vape for a year or less, and they're dying. There is a problem, and yes, it could be due to black market stuff. It could be due to all kinds of things going on. But the fact is, there's a problem. I would be surprised that Apple didn't respond.
The problem is some of these apps allow you to check to see if your vape is legal, to make sure that it's not counterfeit. So this pulling these apps out actually hurts people. Yes, Apple pull the apps that are selling illegal products. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But apps that allow you to manage your vape, to check to make sure that it's counterfeit or not, or to see how much vape you have left, or those kinds of things. This is an overreach on Apple's part. I think this is going way too far.
Oh, jeez. I don't know about that. I mean, kids are dying.
Yes, they're dying from counterfeit vapes.
Well, yeah. So
let me have an app that allows me to check to see if my vape is counterfeit.
And you think you're still not going to do it? No, of course they're going to.
No, absolutely not.
mean,
No,
just,
if some kid puts a vape in and the app says this vape is counterfeit, that kid's going to throw away that counterfeit vape because he knows.
You don't believe that.
If
you do not believe that.
If the warning pops up and says this is counterfeit, people have died from these things, I'm throwing it away.
No, you don't believe that kids would do that because kids won't do that.
I don't know. MacBen says they died because they used bogus THC juice cut with a vitamin E.
That is true.
Yep.
That is absolutely true. I mean, and that's black market stuff.
But what it does is it hurts legitimate vape iOS apps. This is a legal product. This is a legal thing to do. Apple should not be involved in this part of it, in this aspect of it. Cigarettes are legal. Vaping is legal. Apple, get out of our bedroom. Get out of our vape. They're going too far.
I don't know.
Folks, that's it. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Jesus.
You're done.
Wow. Oh, folks, that's it. Okay, we're done.
By the way, do you want to apologize for now that you had a week to think about it? Do you want to apologize for all the dumb things you said about education last week? Here's your chance.
What did I say last week?
You said that people should be able to. What was it? It was so dumb I've forgotten. People should be. That people can only get a good education if they use Apple products.
I think that's true.
That's not true. Oh, Jesus, dude. I'm trying to help you out here.
Oh, I see. So let's wait until next week and see if I apologize then.
I think we're going to wait for a long time for that apology, aren't we?
Well, you're just such a piece of shit that sometimes I
Wow! Okay, that's over the line. Come on now.
So what are we? Like, I mean, I keep answering the phone. Next week, I don't know. I'm going to see.
You might not.
I'm going to see. I'm going to have to see. I can't figure out why I think it automatically answers. That's the problem.
Our friend Scott Randall wanted me to read this to you out loud, but I just don't have the time right now. Scott, maybe we'll lead it off next week's show. But yeah, Scott will certainly, and other people. Scott was the most coherent. I don't want to be rude, but I really wanted to be able to reach through the phone and grab Jim by the throat. That's how he started. Just FYI.
Well,
just to let you know.
Well, that happens.
It happens. Folks, been talking to Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. His podcast is The Dalrymple Report up on the iTunes store. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Shawn.
Talk to you later, buddy.
Bye.
See you, bye. Yeah, Scott was not happy with him. Scott was rightfully displeased, shall we say. We'll talk about that hopefully on next week's show if it hasn't blown over by then. When we come back, we're going to have I Have a Question with Melissa, so please stay tuned. This is your Mac Life. Melissa, what you eating? Is it something that melts in your mouth? Is it brown? That you eat by the handful?
It's a food of color.
My cute, sweet little wife has this thing. I can't even know how to describe it. Where she reaches in to the giant bag of chocolate chips that I use for cooking, chips and chocolate chip cookies and pancakes and that kind of stuff, and just shoves a handful into her mouth and then can't talk for 20 minutes.
It's just a hit.
Just a hit?
Just need a hit.
Just need a hit. It's cheaper than buying chocolate bars.
And it's really good chocolate. It's cacao, and I don't have. Sometimes I'll be very delicate and just sort of eat one at a time.
Will you?
Yeah.
I've never seen that. I've only ever
Yes,
seen
you have. Yes, you have.
It's very cute. This segment is the I Have a Question with Melissa. Melissa's question this week is...
Well, my first question is, now that I have this very nice Nomad charger next to my bed, and I keep my phone on it all night, is it bad for me to keep charging my phone once it's full?
No. Next question.
Oh. So that's a
it used
myth.
to be bad. No, it's not a myth. Well, it is now. It used to be a bad thing. It used to be in many products that actually said in the manual that no one ever read, do not overcharge. Basically what would happen is that your battery would get full and there was no method for the electricity to stop going into the battery, so it would overfill the battery. That's a simplistic way of looking at it. Okay. But it would stuff too many electrons into the battery. Your battery would swell up. It might leak. It might break. It might do bad things. So you were actually told to pull the battery out when it got charged. So there was a light on the device that would flash red or whatever that says, I'm charged now, pull it out. But most devices nowadays either have a little bit of electronic code or sensor inside that will cut off electricity, or use, like our iPhones, lithium-ion batteries, which don't have that problem anymore. Once they get full, they just stop accepting new electrons.
Okay.
They just don't get that.
So I can tell people.
You can have no problem at all charging it. There is also a school of thought that you shouldn't charge your device up when it's only down 10%.
Yeah, like it should be quite drained.
Yes, that you should drain it completely. Is that still true? No, not really. It's not not exactly true. Your battery has life cycles. And let's say your battery has 100 life cycles from fully drained to fully charged. That's one cycle. When you get to 100, the battery's dead. That's not true, but let's just assume that is. What used to happen was each charging segment was a cycle. So if you let it go down to 7% and then recharge it to 10, that was one cycle. If you went down to 80%, back up, it was two cycles.
So you're using your cycles not at their capacity.
That's right. So now what it is that the battery has to have the functional drain down to 0, then back up to 100. So if you drain it to 50 and then charge it again, that's only half a cycle. If you charge it to 70 and then back in, it's only 30% of the cycle. So it keeps track of it that way.
So MacMan's saying that it's still not a good idea to leave my laptop plugged in. But I do take it. I unplug it and take it to work. I don't actually. Okay, good.
You shouldn't leave your laptop in 24/7 for long periods of time, weeks, months on end.
Oh, yes. No, okay. I don't do that.
There's actually apps you can get that will remind you to unplug your battery.
Oh.
And you unplug your battery and let it drain all the way down to 0. It pops up and says, okay, charge your battery, and you pop it back in.
Okay.
But for the most part, our iPhones, because they're portable, they're with us all the time, that's not an issue. No one leaves their iPhone charged in 24/7 for weeks at a time. At some point, you're going to take it out and go to the store or whatever it is. So it's not.
And how do you know that will ruin your battery, MacMan?
Because he did it. He did it. Many of us have had that issue. We couldn't figure out why our batteries suddenly only had 45 minutes of life in it. It's because we killed it by leaving it charged all the time.
Okay.
Again, not much of an issue anymore.
My second question is I need to understand more about apps. I don't understand why. I don't even know if I asked the question properly. I can I get an app that will be for my phone and my iPad, but will it also work for my computer? Like if I want to get the Libby app on my computer.
The way you presented this to me before was, what's the difference between an app and an application?
Well, I didn't even know that app stood for application,
That's
so
right.
I wasn't intelligent enough to ask you that question.
No. Don't say you weren't intelligent
Okay,
enough.
I wasn't knowledgeable enough to ask you that question.
There's the difference. And it's partially because that's the way we describe things. And so for average people, you hear people talking about applications on their computer, but apps on their iPhone.
Why is it changed?
You think they're two different things.
I do.
It's because it's changed, because calling it the application store sounds silly. So we call it the App Store.
Well, why don't we call it an app for the computer?
We do now. Now, for the most part, we do call them on the Macintosh, on your iPhone, you have the App Store for iOS, and on the Macintosh, you have the Mac App Store. It's not the Mac Application Store; it's the Mac App Store.
Okay.
So apps and applications are the same thing from the point of view of what they can do. Apps and applications both do things on your computer. You have the operating system of your computer, which is the brains of your computer, and then there's the things that your computer can do. And each of those things is generally an app. Think of them as an application. Now, while you can have applications that have the same name on your iPhone, on your iPad, and on your Macintosh, and that do the same thing. So you got Photoshop. Photoshop is available on your Macintosh. It's also available on your iPad. Doesn't mean it's the exact same app. It just has the same name.
Oh.
The code that they run on, the language that they speak, is different. Even though we look at it and we see English, the underlying computer code language is different for the iPad and the Macintosh and Windows and other devices. So even though you can get Photoshop on a Windows machine and on a Macintosh and on an iPad, it doesn't mean the underlying code is the exact same. Just the names are the same. And they are not interchangeable. They cannot run on each other's
So that's
system.
confusing.
It is. It's very confusing.
All right.
And because of that underlying code difference, language difference, they're not interchangeable. You can't take your Photoshop for iPad app and run it on your Macintosh. You can't take your Photoshop for your Macintosh and run it on your iPad. The underlying code is a different language. It speaks a completely different language than the device. So they don't work together.
So these things on my dock, iXL, for example, is that an app?
Yes, it's an application. Yes, it is.
Is that an app?
Yes. Apps and applications, same thing.
All right.
There's different words for
But
the
I
same thing.
don't have iXL on my iPad.
It's interesting you're calling iXL.
I'm sorry.
It's just Excel.
Oh.
Microsoft Excel.
I don't have Excel on my...
I think Excel is available on the iPad. Folks, correct me. I haven't used an Office product in a long time.
But I could, and it would do the same thing.
Yes. But this version that's on your Mac cannot be put on your iPad.
Okay.
You'd have to get a different version on the iPad and on the Macintosh. Okay. For example, you have Safari and Chrome on your Macintosh. You can get Safari and Chrome on your iPhone.
Yes.
Same application, same app, does the same thing. It browses the web for you, but the language that they were written in is different.
Okay.
So think of one of them as being Italian, the other as being French. But you can understand it because your computer, because your device translates it into English.
But you buy apps from the App Store.
And you can buy apps from the Mac App Store too.
Oh.
If you did a command space, why doesn't it come up? There we go. Command space and then clicked for Mac App Store, you would see why isn't it coming up? That's weird.
So Monty's saying that typically the app on a computer, like mine or PC, has more features, power, capabilities than the app, Photoshop or Word, on a mobile device like an iPhone, iPad, or Android. So they do have a difference in. So they are different.
Yes.
So one is more powerful probably than the other.
The more complicated the application, the more likely that is to be true. The more likely they are to diverge in their abilities. So, for example, the stock app on your iPhone can do pretty much the exact same things as the stock app on your Macintosh, because they're simple apps, all doing
Right,
showing
so
you.
it's just the stock prices and
As
stuff.
you get more complicated applications, their abilities diverge.
Oh.
And Photoshop is the most complicated application most people are going to use on their Macintosh. And your iPad just doesn't have the power to
Of
deal with
course.
all of the things that
All
Photoshop
right.
can
Okay,
do.
thank you. I
You're
understand much
very
better
welcome.
now.
Good, I'm glad. And the other thing is, Melissa was saying that she said, "Is that a dumb question?" I said, "No, it's not. It's a typical question that someone who isn't steeped in this stuff, who hasn't been doing this stuff for 20, 30 years, who doesn't know this stuff intuitively, it's a perfectly valid, typical question that anybody would have. So I don't ever feel bad about asking these kind of questions. I like them. I like seeing how you think about this stuff too, because it helps me when I teach people about this stuff of, okay, this is what a smart, non-techie person knows and doesn't know. And so I have to explain myself in a way that's understandable to a smart, non-techie person.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
do not worry about it.
Yes. Thank you, Monty. I'm understanding what you're saying as well. Monty's explaining it well.
Good.
Too.
Good. In our starting point photography segment this evening, my beautiful, lovely, wonderful wife got me an iPhone 11 Pro Max in green. What kind of green is that? I forgot what kind of green it is. Special, beautiful green. I can't show it to you because we're using it to show her pretty face. But you know what it looks like. It's the iPhone green. First thing upon... It's behind me, isn't it? Yes. So it comes in this, typical beautiful Apple box. The first thing I noticed when I unboxed it is, for some bizarre reason, the lid is heavier than the empty box. The lid is weirdly heavy. I don't know why that is or why I noticed it. It's embossed, so it's slightly raised up here, and then on the inside you can see there's another dent where the camera is on this end, but the lid is quite heavy.
I think it's for the suction effect.
The what?
The suction effect. It sucks onto the lower box.
Okay. Typical wonderful Apple packaging. Melissa took off the plastic of the iPhone, and it all came off in one smooth, beautiful, sleek piece. It's just, their packaging is better than some other people's phones. The materials Apple uses is very tactile and feels very silky and very smooth, and it's wonderful.
They're boxes you keep if you're going to resell it. Because
Well,
people
yes.
will often say, does it still
Does it
have
come
its
with the
box?
Yeah, we're definitely keeping the box. But as soon as you take that plastic off, oh my God, you are now holding $2,000 of the slipperiest substance known to man. This thing is slicker than whale shit on an ice floe. It's ridiculously slippery. I have dropped this thing from various heights at least 10 times in the last less than a week. Thank God it's always been on a carpeted surface or onto the bed or things like that. It's awful.
Is it more slippery than...
It feels more slippery than what I remember the iPhone 10 to be, and certainly more slippery than yours without the case. I really don't like it. The metal outside of it is very, very slick. The backing is also very, very slick. I don't like the fact that I absolutely need a case with this beautiful green. I'm not going to cover it up. I'm only going to get a clear case. It was the nice folks at Gear 4 sent me their clear case, and I'm going to put that on my iPhone and test it out. But I really don't like it. I wish Apple had done something a little bit, even to the bumper around the edge, the metal edge, if they had made that metal a little more rough, a little more tactile, a little more grippy. It would give me a little more confidence. But this one right now is just awful when it comes to being able to hold on to it. And your ability to pick it up and quickly take a picture is compromised, at least for me, because I'm so worried about picking it up and it's slipping out of my hands. So I'm not as fast taking a picture as I was in the previous one. Now, someone suggested Apple's clear case, and Apple can go F themselves because Apple's clear case is $55, has got 34 negative reviews, only got 16 positive ones, and the iPhone Red case I bought for the iPhone 10 is falling apart. So, no, Apple, you're not getting any damn money out of me. $55 for a clear case. Shut up. Get out of here.
You should have to check out MacMan's that he got.
MacMan say you got the
$12.97. It's got good reviews too. It looks like it's kind of
love
similar.
it. Clear view case designed for iPhone Pro Max.
And it's flexible. Like mine is flexible.
Yeah. That's the other thing I want too. I don't want a case that's too hard,
rigid,
too rigid. The process. The funniest thing was, I thought, you know what? Maybe on this iPhone, I did a backup. I did a backup of my iPhone 10. I thought, well, you know what? On this new iPhone, I'll just start over from the beginning. I won't install all the devices and data and all that kind of stuff from my previous iPhone. Let's see if I can, just reinstall things as I need them, saving space, saving whatever. Well, about 15 minutes later, I went, well, screw this. Mm. I just installed everything from the old phone. It was just too frustrating.
Well, we stood at the parking meter in the freezing cold in the West End while Shawn had to reboot his Pay Park app.
Yeah, the PayPal, the Pay Parking app. So yeah, that didn't work out for me at all. So that didn't work out very well at all. So using the phone, not much different. There's no significant differences. For the most part, feature-wise, from the iPhone 10. I know there's some little fiddly things that you could do to make various changes. I don't think, for me, they're not that significant. I really haven't jumped deep into them. I've got a whole bunch of videos and articles to read from other folks who posted the reviews when it first came out, and I'll go through those, see if there's anything significant has changed. But it doesn't feel like anything significant has changed. Obviously, the biggest difference is the cameras, the three cameras, the wide angle, the ultra wide angle, and telephoto lenses on the cameras. They're really easy to use, and I'm probably going to do. You've seen the video. I'll probably do my own video of how easy it is to switch between them. The thing that I don't know if I was surprised by it, but I found most interesting was when you have the ability to do a ultra wide, and then telephoto picture, it changes the way you look at an image. Melissa and I were in Vancouver yesterday, wandering around. Is that the
English Bay?
Is it the West End?
Yeah.
Yeah, West End, English Bay, Vancouver. Lovely area, beautiful day, and I was just taking some pictures. And so here's a picture I saw, and I took with the ultra wide angle camera. The first thing you might notice, and this is something you're going to have to get used to as you use the ultra wide angle lens in the camera, is your fingers getting away all the time.
Almost put a little face on it.
Almost because the way I hold, if you imagine this is the iPhone, the way I've always held my iPhone is like this to give myself a nice stable grip, and then I can push the shutter button right there. But that grip with the wide angle lens, my fingers get in the way. Holding it like this, your finger gets in the way. So you've got to start looking to the edges of your shot to make sure your fingers aren't in the way. So what I've taken to doing is, that's right, I was shooting like this, and your fingers get in the way. So you've got to find a different grip. And again, on a slippery iPhone, you don't want to be adjusting your grip while you're holding it one-handed, because it's going to fall out of your hands. So I've discovered that if I held it like this with the camera on this side and my hands at the edge of it, I can still get shots like it. But yeah, there's several shots.
You wouldn't get that little pink protuberance
That's right.
popping up from the butt.
Right.
Oh, that's a good shot. What's a finger?
But without moving, and right there on the screen, you can see 0.5, 1, and 2. So without moving, without cropping with your feet, without having to move into the scene, I just took another picture. I came up with this one. and it's just a little bit closer and gives a little bit of a different feel to the scene. But the one I liked the most was the telephoto one, the shot that was even closer. Now, these are not edited in any kind of way. These are straight out of the camera. I haven't run these through Snapseed or the native camera app or done anything to them. I was just testing the wide angle, ultra wide, and the telephoto shots of it. In that area of Vancouver, there's this very funny art installation. I don't know what it's called, but it's the artist has sculptures of himself in various funny little poses that are in this area. There's what, about 15 of them, I think?
At least.
And they're worn smooth by people touching these things. It's a very fun, funny little...
It's about joy.
It's about joy. It makes you joyful. You want to take pictures with these
in these different
statues.
poses.
So here's the shot of Melissa standing in front of one of them with the building in the background. And then very quickly, I was able to hit the... that was the ultra-wide shot. I was able to hit the one-time shot and get this image, which is also a really nice image. I haven't moved. I haven't physically walked closer to Melissa. And then finally, I was able to get another nice shot. Now, these aren't composed the way I wanted them to. I cut the top of the head off the statue. It wasn't the shot I actually wanted, but it was an idea. The idea was to show the movement in the photo. And I was really impressed by how easy that was to do, how simple it was to just tap, 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 and boom, 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 you're taking 3 shots. So that made me think about photography a little differently, because now you can get shots and you can tell a story with your shots, because the wide shot would be your establishing shot, and then the regular one time shot would be what they call the 2 shot in film, and then you have the 2 times zoom, which would be the close up shot. It's kind of fun to play around with. The next thing I'm going to do is play around with night mode. I've taken some night mode shots, but they've been of Melissa naked. I'm not showing you those unless you send me money. I'm kidding.
Macman's cute. Macman says, "Is it wrong? I can't wait to put up our Christmas tree and try out night mode."
Exactly, that's right.
That's so cute.
I just haven't had the opportunity to take any night mode shots that I think are good enough to use. I have taken a couple of test shots, and I am surprised by how well it brings out the light without over brightening things. Right, we said initially when we first heard about night mode, the Google night site turns day into night. Sorry, turns night into day. And if you like that, great. But if you don't, if you just want a good night shot, Apple's night mode works better in that. And at some point, we're going to go out and do some night mode testing. It still does not, it will, if the room is dark, you're still going to get shitty photos. There's just no way around that. If you're trying to shoot by candlelight and you're 20 feet away, it's still going to be a shitty photo. But if you've got a decent light source, I've been surprised by how good the night mode is on some of these shots. Video looks pretty good too. And the other thing about video is you can zoom in while you're shooting video. So if you watch this video, this is the one we took of the ferry ride, and you can see at one point during this video, it'll jump in. The video transition, hang on, is that actually coming through for the audience? Hang on. Is the audience hearing that? Can you guys hear me? I'm confused. The audience should be able to hear me. I just have to wait for the audience to see. I can't tell. Waiting for you guys to tell me whether or not you can hear me.
Wouldn't they tell you if they couldn't hear you?
Come on, anybody. Can you hear me? Calling audience. We can. Thank you, MacMan. So as you can see in the video, the zoom moves in and out, kind of herky-jerky, but so you're supposed to hear, Monty. The video moves in kind of herky-jerky, But you can edit that out. You can also see my finger there on the right-hand side. And here's where I flip the camera around so that I can get the camera away from my finger. So the video does seem a little herky-jerky, but it's fairly easy to edit that out if you're using iMovie or any other kind of on-device editing, or even if you brought it over to your Macintosh and edited it there. So it's not a deal breaker to have the herky-jerky motion. I wish it was a bit smoother. But it does take lovely video. The video that I took of our little trip came out really, really nicely. Very smooth. It looks really nice. I'll do more video testing later as well.
You can film my first of my video series and we'll see if there's a difference.
There shouldn't be, but because we have a very specific look to that of a distance that we want this shot. I wouldn't use the ultra, for example, I wouldn't use the ultra wide angle lens.
No, okay.
On you for that. I'd probably use at least the one, if not the two. And the video quality should be the exact same.
Oh, okay.
The quality of the video, we're still shooting in 4K at 60 frames per second, so it should still look good from that point of view. Folks, that's it for our show tonight. I want to say thanks to everybody. Don't forget, if you have Christmas greetings, please send us Christmas holiday greetings, Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or Festivus or whatever the hell else you celebrate. Send them to us at Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. Identify yourself. Tell us where you live. Send out a greeting to your family. If you want to send the greetings out to your own family, to our family, to the YML family, send those in before December 16th. Because remember, the last show of the year will be December 18th. And again, a reminder, there won't be a show next week. Melissa has to go to a conference in the big city, and I've got to go to the U.S. consulate because I got to figure out crossing the border issues. I want to go back into the United States, and I want to see if I can't figure it out why they won't let me. But Melissa's conference goes late into the afternoon. We won't be able to get back on the ferry until after the show starts. So our apologies for that, but we'll try to make it up to you guys in the upcoming weeks. Also going to have some Christmas presents to give away to folks coming up in December. I refuse to do it in November. I'm not giving away presents in November. It'll be in December. We got our secret Santa wants to give stuff away, so I want to make sure that we get those in before the end of the year. As always, thanks to you guys for being tuned in the show. Thanks to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com for being here each and every week. And always thanks to my beautiful wife for being here joining me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Folks, as always, I've been Shawn King.
I'm Melissa King.
And you're listening to Your Mac Life. See ya.
Bye.